What's up, Transformers fans? I'm Mondo, and this is another Moonbase 84 transmission. Today we're talking Skybound'S Transformers comic. The first story arc has concluded with issue 12, and the story has been incredible so far. The story arc was gritty and packed with action, and that grittiness is what I wanted to talk about today. Specifically, how Daniel Warren Johnson seems to have zero reservations when it comes to wiping out characters. I thought it'd be interesting to break down and see just how many characters have been scrapped in the first 12 issues. There have been a few that personally stunned for me because they are favorites of mine. Before we roll for it, I want to mention that this list is for bots only, so I won't be covering any human casualties. Also, obviously, this is all going to be spoiler heavy, so if you are not all caught up with the comic and don't want anything ruined, proceed at your own risk. Also, hitting that like button, subscribing, and all that jazz wouldn't hurt either. Okay, let's get into the Energon universe scrap count. Issue 1 starts off with probably the most shocking scrapping throughout the first 12 issues. That being Bumblebee. This definitely set the tone that no bot is safe. This issue also saw Jetfire severely wounded, and the result of that plays out over the rest of the arc. Perhaps to let the demise of Bumblebee sink in with readers, everyone was spared in issue 2. Well, if you're a Cybertronian at least. Issue 3 also went scrapless, but we did see Prime give Skywarp a severe beatdown, and like Jetfire, that will come into play later. Issue 4 only shows more of Skywarp's fate, as we see him being ripped apart by Soundwave and Starscream to use him for parts. That's not his ultimate fate, so the count remains as 1. In issue 5, we get a scene where Prime and Sparkplug are talking about their experiences with war. Here we get a flashback scene where it looks like Blaster was offline. This one really sucked because I would have loved to see Blaster show up in the comic. However, we really can't confirm that he's dead or not, so I'm unfortunately counting this as a scrapping until proven otherwise. Also, we see that the Decepticons have ripped Skywarp apart and used him to repair Teletran 1 in a very twisted way to revive more Decepticons. Reflector is one of the recently revived cons, but he doesn't last long as he gets ripped to shreds later on in the issue from a blast from Prime. Even though we get a brutal battle between the Autobots and Devastator, no one is actually scrapped in issue 6. Issue 7 is where things get really brutal. On Cybertron, Elita 1 is leading a team trying to find a lost comrade when they are attacked by the Combaticons. Here we lose Huffer, Warpath, and Cup, which hurt for me because I love both Huffer and Cup. That's 3 bots scrapped in one scene, bringing the scrap count to 6. In issue 8, the Autobots have since taken back the Ark and are having trouble with Teletran 1 due to Skywarp being integrated with it. Seriously, I know this is a comic about alien robots, but it's still a disturbing body horror vibe. We also see that Jetfire is still online, but in a bad state, unable to transform and very confused and scared. Again, robot comic, but very sad. Making things with Jetfire even more tragic, in issue 9 the Autobots use what's left of him for a ride to attack the Decepticons, and he gets shot down. During the battle, Soundwave takes out Ratchet, who jumps in front of the blast meant for Cliffjumper and is offline. The Autobots are forced to retreat, but we don't see how they get back to base, leaving Jetfire's fate unknown. Issue 10 is more of a pause in the action issue, and because of that, no one falls, so the count stays at 7. In issue 11, everyone survives, but it does give me another chance to talk about how I hate that douche Ultra Magnus. Now that I got that off my chest, we move on to the final issue of the story arc, issue 12. In issue 12, we get the action-packed conclusion to the first Skybound Energon Universe Transformers story arc, and surprisingly, for everything going on in this issue, we only get one final scrapping, but it's a doozy. If Bumblebee getting taken out in issue 1 was shocking, this last scrapping was just as surprising, as we see Prime go full Murderous Prime Michael Bay style as he crushes Shockwave's head with his bare hands. I honestly didn't see anything like that coming from Prime in this comic, and while I don't hate it, I'm still in disbelief. I bet Megatron is very proud. So, to wrap up the video, our total scrap count for the first 12 issues of Skybound'S Transformers is... I've got to say, I'm a little amazed by that number, especially when the losses are established characters and not just things like grunts like you'd see in the video games. I'm also bummed by quite a few that are gone because some of them are among my favorite characters. I'm very happy that Cliffjumper made it out alive because I was really worried about him for a while. I'm hoping that Jetfire can be salvaged and eventually be totally repaired because his story is very tragic and I'd like to see a happy ending for him. I'm also hoping that Skywarp can be safely separated from Teletran 1 and also be returned to normal. He always seems to get dumped on. Lastly, I hope Ultra Magnus never turns around and keeps on driving right off a cliff. But no matter what, I hope the Energon universe continues to be awesome, and I can't wait to see what happens next. Comment to let me know your thoughts on all of the fallen bots, and as always, thanks for docking.